Thank you, Council, for your attendance at this meeting, the January 15th meeting. We'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Again, thank you for your presence, and staff, thank you. We'll begin the meeting by a land acknowledgement. This gathering, the land upon which we meet, is the traditional territory of First Nations people with a long-standing relationship with the land, water, and regions of Southwest Middlesex. The nations along the banks of the Thames River include the Chippewa of the Thames, Oneida Nation of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation, and Delaware Nation of Moraviantown. We convey our respect to our First Nation neighbors and thank them for their contributions to our culture, community, our past, and partnerships in the future. Council, this meeting will be streamed live on the municipality's YouTube channel. There has been one disclosure of pecuniary interest. Thank you, Amy, for acknowledging that. And I have been advised that there are no more. The agenda is before you. It's been circulated. Give you time to study it. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as circulated, unless there's any errors or omissions. I guess you'll move that. Councilor McGill, thank you. A seconder for that. Councilor Choi. Discussion. All in favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations. Dave Newman, Vice President of Camping and Outdoor Education. Hello, Dave. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. You come up. Our staff will make sure you're comfortable. I think there's a desk right there.
That's great.
Someone will give you a chance. We'll fire up that microphone for you. I think you may need it.
I might need the microphone for the YouTube.
Yeah. Kendra's over there to help you, and I see you've got some help on the side and behind you there, so that's good.
There's three of us here, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Dave, thank you very much for coming, and your partners there. Please go ahead. The delegation, according to our procedure bylaw, is 10 minutes. So, if you're getting near that, I might advise you, but we can squeak a minute or two in. Above and beyond that, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for the time, everyone, to come and speak to council today. We appreciate it. My name is Dave Noonan. All three of us work for the YMCA. I'm the Vice President for Camping and Outdoor Education with the YMCA of Southwestern Ontario. This is Jessie Miles, she's their Manager of Day Camping, and this is Kelly Gonzalez, she's their Manager of Camp Administration. So the three of us look after all of the camping programs that happen throughout the YMCA across Southwestern Ontario. That's everywhere from Woodstock all the way to Windsor, Sarnia, and you name it, as many communities as you can serve in between those areas. We run overnight camps, we run day camps, probably about 22, 23 day camps are on the docket for this summer across the region, as well as 2 overnight camps, one up in Honey Harbor called Camp Queen Elizabeth, that's been around since 1953. And one in Point Healy, closer to us, and that's been around for just a couple of years before the pandemic, if you want to look at it that way. So one that's been around for a long time, one that's more recent, and 23 different day camps. Our camps that occur across our association take place in a whole bunch of different settings. We have many of them that happen at our, what we'll call health, fitness, and aquatics facilities. So when you think of a YMCA, you're often picturing a building, and in that building in the summertime, we'll be running day camp programs. We also run day camps outside of those settings to serve communities in different ways, and we do that in a number of different formats. For example, we run day camps together with conservation authorities. We run a day camp together with the Scout Camp facility, using their facilities and us operating our day camp. We run a day camp in cooperation with the City of Sarnia, a day camp together with the City of Windsor. So in numerous different settings to help bring our day camp service to different communities where that may be a needed or a valued service, where the community itself has a facility, but not the ability to mount and operate a day camp for their community, and that's where we come in, and we would operate the day camp. So serve the families, hire the staff, operate the day camp, utilizing the facilities that one of our partners has to base the day camp from. The YMCA day camps and overnight camps have a long tradition, dating back over 100 years in the country. But certainly more recently, we have our own standards and systems for customer service, quality, safety, child protection, etc. And we're all accredited by an organization known as the Ontario Camps Association, which accredits and ensures the safety and sound operation of camps. So that's a little bit of background. Incidentally, I was actually the president of the Ontario Camps Association as a volunteer up until about a month ago, when my term ran out. So we're very familiar with the safe operation and the high standards of required to run a day camp program. So Jesse had the opportunity to meet with Rebecca Burlock, who many of you know, about the facility here in Glencoe, and whether or not there would be an interest for the YMCA to enter into a similar type of an arrangement with this municipality to bring our day camp program to Glencoe. That's why we're here today, is to explore that option. So, as you can see on the screen, it talks about our tradition of quality, safe summer experiences. In the interest of time, I won't get into all of that, but hopefully you're understanding that our history and background in operating day camps. We have some experience in working with other not-for-profits and other municipalities in operating a day camp together with them to bring that program to them. And our real goal is to provide a service. There really isn't, day camp isn't a revenue generator or a money-making venture for the YMCA. Our mission is to provide this program and service to as many communities as we can. We have a number of things that go into how we operate the day camp, how we set our fees, how we operate financial assistance for those where the fees are beyond their means to help the camp be accessible to as many people as possible, how we allow families or enable families to use municipal subsidies towards the day camp fees, how the registration. So we'll try and walk you through a bit of what that might look like. And then following this meeting, I know that you'll have some discussion of whether this is something that would be, that you think would be a good idea for this community. And then we can follow up on that. Our goal is to run a camp at a cost recovery basis, making sure we can ensure that we can do this on a sustainably financially. So that would be something we'd want to speak to. But in the meantime, maybe I'll turn it over to my colleagues. I think first up might be Jesse. I'll switch seats with you.
Jesse, thank you. Thanks for your attendance, Jesse, as well. And we look forward to what you have to say there. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. And was excited to see the site originally back in December with Rebecca. I'm going to chat a little bit about what the camp can bring to the community. So I'm going to start that off with who we would serve within the community. Our camp is geared for children aged 4 to 12. And we break those camper groups into smaller groups, so based on their developmental appropriateness. So we group our 4 and 5s together, our 6, 7, 8s together, and our 9 through 12s together. And then, like I said, the programming is determined based on that developmental appropriateness. We would be looking at opening up 50 spots per week. Right off the get-go, and then if there's a large wait list and there seems to be more of a demand, then we're happy and willing to add to that 50. But that was kind of our initial goal right off the bat. Other opportunities that arrive in the camp world are that for children with exceptionality, so children with extra needs and requiring that one-on-one support. So we have staff that are trained and come equipped to work with those children with those exceptionalities. So we'd be offering 1 spot a week for that. Again, seeing if there's a large wait list coming in and then looking to add spaces if need be. And then lastly, we offer something called family hired support for our families. And so that way, if children that have exceptionalities or special needs but maybe beyond what our inclusion staff can provide, families can opt into sending them with what's called the family hired support, which is often an ECE from the community or an EA from their school that they have a relationship with. And we can come and support those physical needs that maybe our staff aren't equipped to support. We'll be offering 2 of those spots per week as well. And then next up, I was going to chat a little bit about who can work at camp, because I think another important piece is what this is going to provide in terms of employment to the community. So with the camp at the size of 50, we'd be looking at offering 6 to 7 staff positions right off the bat, 2 being leadership positions. So usually we kind of hire within the university college demographic for those positions, and someone that's maybe had some experience supervising others before in a recreational, educational, or childcare like setting. And then we'll be looking to hire about 5 camp counselors that are usually about high school level education, and providing that employment opportunity for them. Additionally, if we're adding more spaces on the wait list, it creates more job opportunity for the youth in the community, which is a wonderful thing. And then lastly, I want to chat about the volunteer opportunity. We offer volunteer opportunities for anybody between the ages of 13 and 15, so a little bit too young for the workforce, but wanting to get out and experience working with children and start building that resume. And so we offer opportunities for volunteers as well.
Sounds good. Okay.
Last thing I want to chat about was what the typical day at camp looked like. So our camp programming will be specific to all the things that the Glencoe Community Center has to offer, using things like the splash pad, the playground, the pool that are available there, but then also adding things like crafts and games and songs to go along with that, and again, making it age appropriate specific for that too.
Okay. We'll have time for questions, I hope.
Yes, absolutely.
You bet.
So next up is Kelly Gonzalez. She's our
No problem. We're going to allow you.
I'll be quick.
It's okay. No, you got 2 minutes,
Okay.
and we'll give you
No
3 or 4.
problem.
if you
2
need it,
minutes.
okay?
So I'll just talk a little bit about camp fees and financial assistance. So we would most likely align your fees with our HFA branches, also in Middlesex. So that would be Kamoka and Strathroy. So the fees would be about the same as those communities. So the community out here is maybe kind of used to, because we do see campers that come to those locations already. We offer a prorated fee for civic holidays. Extended care is an additional $40 a week, or free if you are a member of the YMCA. Excuse me. Under our partnership agreement, we've already confirmed with Middlesex County that if we were to open a location in Glencoe, it would be eligible for municipal child care subsidy. So these are subsidy based on a family's income. The municipality may contribute to the cost of childcare, so families who live in Middlesex County would be eligible. We weren't able to confirm in Lambton County, but they did previously support our camp in North Middlesex, so I am pretty confident that they would also be able to, so families in Lambton County, because you are so close to that border, would also be eligible for childcare subsidies within our camp. That basically means they pay a fee structure based on the family's income, number of children, so that they can come to camp at a reduced fee. So it's really beneficial for working parents in your community that are eligible for that program. In addition, we also offer a 50% subsidy to any children who are referred to us through the Children's Aid Society, so we offer reduced fees there. We also have a financial assistance program available to any families in your community that's on a sliding scale based on family income, number of children, number of adults in the home. So the YMCA has a long history of being a charitable organization, so we definitely want to make sure that there's no barriers in terms of cost for children to come to camp. So we work with a number of families every year to ensure that that opportunity is available across the board. We also have grant funding for newcomers. So newcomers who come to Canada, we also find ways to include those children in camps if maybe something they haven't experienced before.
All set then? Good. Well, thank you very much. So we'll enter a question period. If you could just stick around. First of all, I want to thank you very much for coming. It's been expressed by our industry and business community that child care such as this is exceptionally important. And it's in fact, with one large industry, it's their top priority is attaining this. So we were very pleased with that. And if we can link up together, we'll make sure that that particular industry find out about this. And also, you mentioned that you were in a couple of large urban areas. And it's nice, there is a bit of rural disparity sometimes in services. And we're really pleased that you're focusing on a rural community like Southwest Middlesex, because it's really important to us. We like to have the same standards of service that our urban neighbors have, and this brings it close. Council, any questions? Yep, Councillor Vink first, followed by Councillor Choi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. These rates, are you set for 1 week or 2 weeks? And also, you mentioned about the splash pad. Would that interfere with other people that are using the splash pad?
Yeah, those are a couple of good questions. One is each week, people register for a 1 week program over the summer for day camp, and they can register for as many weeks as they would like to. Many of our families will register for multiple weeks. But each week of camp was its own program from Monday to Friday versus a day here and a day there. You can come for a week at a time. When it comes to the splash pad and the use of that facility, those would be important things for us to work together on so that we can understand how we allocate the use on those things. So the last thing we want to do is create a situation where the day camp is taking away to too much of an extent a facility that the rest of the community wants to use at a particular time of day. And so we would just work together on how to schedule our activities. We're picturing a camp of somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 kids at a time with all of the facilities that are around that community center that I had the pleasure of visiting before the holidays with Jesse. There is tons of flexibility on how we organize the day so that we can make sure that nobody felt that they were excluded from using an area because they camp was there.
Okay, thank you. And Amy, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, looking at, first of all, I think this is great. I look forward to discussing it later and hopefully it can become a part of our community. Through the financial assistance, you mentioned Middlesex County and Lambton County. Elgin County and Chatham can also border us. Would those locations possibly offer financial assistance?
So yeah, there's sort of two things of financial assistance. With YMCA financial assistance, where it doesn't matter where you're coming from, we'll offer financial assistance to everybody. We also have our partnership agreements with the municipalities. At this point, I've only confirmed with Middlesex, but generally under our partnership agreements, it's so as long as they're within the county, under our agreement, opening new sites is not usually an issue. When it's outside of the county, I think they generally look at that on a family-by-family basis, depending on the needs of that family. So if we have a family that lived in Chatham but was regularly traveling to Stratford for work, they would most likely approve for them to be on a location that makes sense to them. So I don't anticipate that being an issue, and we have great relationships with all of our municipal partners in that way. So I don't anticipate that being an issue for families, and if it were, then we would get back ended with our financial assistance.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultz, go ahead.
Would this all take place in the arena? Monday to Friday, it would all be in the arena?
That would be our base, would be that's our thought process at the moment. That we would base out of the arena facility. We'd be outside as much as we could, but we'd use the indoor and outdoor facilities. There's lots more facilities there available, as I mentioned, I think with the previous question from Councilor Bing, about how much time we'd be spending in each spot, because there's 50 kids and tons and tons of space. So it's good to have an arrival and a drop-off and pick-up spot in that indoor location, so it's easy for parking and access for parents that are dropping their kids off and picking their kids back up. We'll have our own sign-in and sign-out procedures at that space, but then throughout the day, the kids would be dispersed all over that general area, depending on program structure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions? Well, again, we want to thank you. We're going to receive your information, your presentation as information, and we'll let staff will contact you, and we'll carry this discussion forward, okay? And hopefully to a conclusion, which I'm sure we can. Okay, and thank you very much.
Thanks very much for welcoming us, and best of luck with the rest of your meeting. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank
Thank you. Council, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the information that was provided by YMCA as information. Thank you, Councillor Choi. Seconder, Councillor Haggett. All in favor? Carried. Council, the consent agenda is before you. I'll read through it from 1 to 6. If you want any pulled out, just put up your hand and we'll look after you. Draft minutes of the regular meeting of Council, December 18, 2024. Draft minutes of the Economic Development Committee, December 11th, 2024. Matthew, you need to read, Board Chair, Middlesex London Board of Health memo to County of Middlesex, monthly Board of Health update, December 2024. SB Rideout, Superintendent Commander, Municipal Policing Bureau, revised Ontario Provincial Police Municipal Policy 2025 Annual Billing Statement Package. Yes, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I see that there's a 10% discount for 2025, and I'm just wondering what the total estimated increase for 2025 is.
Yeah, we did have an increase, and we also
I just don't have it now.
Yeah, and we got a check for funding to cover that increase as well. Council,
Just wanted to get the 10% covered.
Yes.
oh yeah.
Yes.
No, we received a check by surprise to cover that additional policing expense, so it made it kind of status quo. Honorable Paul Calandra, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, dated December 13th, increased resources to support and provide more long-term stable housing for those who live in encampments. And the last one, Honorable Paul Calandra, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, dated December 12th, introduction of proposed Municipal Accountability Act 2024 to strengthen municipal code of conduct and integrity commissioners framework. Council, that is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept it as read? Councillor Choi, Councillor McGill, all in favor? Carried. Council, we have a committee of adjustment matter, and at this time, we have a motion that we enter into committee of adjustment at 6:23. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Choi, Deputy Mayor Schultes, all in favor? Carried. Committee adjustment dated Wednesday, January 15th, 2025 at 6:24. We call this committee meeting to order. There has been one disclosure of pecuniary interest submitted. Thank you, Councillor Choi.
It's not for this one.
Oh, not for this one? Okay, all right. Zoning, all right, good, I'm glad you did that. Minutes have been circulated. Give you a minute to contemplate them. And a motion that the minutes of December 18th Committee of Adjustment meeting be received and approved. Is there a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Myers, Councilor Bing. We are now into the parts of the meeting. And planning advises of the purpose and effect of this application. Elena.
Sorry, Mayor, can you call the question?
Oh, did I call the question? All in favor? Okay. We're in the meeting. Yeah. Okay, yes, purpose and effect.
Sorry, technical difficulties. Thank you, Mary, for you. So the purpose and effect of the application is to sever a parcel of land to facilitate the disposal of a surplus farm dwelling as a result of farm consolidation. And the lands proposed to be severed would have a frontage of approximately 260 meters along Switzer Drive and an area of approximately 4.46 acres. So the lands proposed to be severed contains a single detached dwelling, and these lands are known as 4019 Switzer Drive. And the lands also contain a shed and are serviced by a private well and septic system. The lands also contain natural heritage features, including significant woodlands, which generally surround the single detached dwelling. And the applicant is proposing to use the creek as a boundary line between the lands to be severed and the lands to be retained. So the lands proposed to be retained would have a frontage of approximately 341 meters along Switzer Drive and an area of approximately 96.62 acres. And these lands contain an existing dwelling as well, and they're known as 3963 Switzer Drive. And they also contain several farm buildings and are used for agricultural purposes in the form of field crop cultivation. And the lands also contain natural heritage features, including significant woodlands, and would be bordered by a creek. So the provincial planning statement, County of Middlesex official plan, and the Southwest Middlesex official plan generally permit lot creation in agricultural areas to dispose of a dwelling surplus to a farming operation as a result of farm consolidation, subject to evaluation criteria. And staff is satisfied that farm consolidation has been achieved and that the residents may be deemed surplus to the needs of the farming operation as a result of farm consolidation. And the applicant has also provided supplementary information that demonstrates ownership of a home farm. And the existing dwelling was constructed in the 1980s and is in good condition, suitable for human occupancy. Staff is of the opinion that the proposed severed lot is larger than necessary to accommodate the dwelling and septic system, and therefore is not consistent with the provincial planning statement or in conformity with the county and Southwest Middlesex official plans. The policy framework states that the proposed lot should be kept to a minimum size to accommodate services and the dwelling. And staff would like to note that within the agricultural designation of the Southwest Middlesex official plan, the primary use of land in this designation shall be for the cultivation of land, the raising of livestock, and the growing of trees, and a full range of agricultural activities shall be permitted, including cash crops, livestock, market gardening, tobacco farming, specialty crops, aquaculture, horticulture, and forestry, and then buildings and structures associated therewith. So based on the sketch provided by the applicant, the weeping bed is located approximately 15 meters from the dwelling, and the well is located approximately 90 meters from the dwelling. So for staff to be in a position to support the application, it's recommended that as part of the conditions of consent, the lot area be reduced to approximately 1.2 acres to be the minimum size required to accommodate the septic system, including the weeping bed. And furthermore, given the location of the well, staff is of the opinion that the well can be appropriately accommodated through a well easement for maintenance and access purposes in favor of the severed lands as a condition of consent. And the reduction of the lot area would result in the lot being in conformity with the surplus farmland severance policies. So through the circulation of the public meeting notice, agency comments were received from the Southwest Middlesex Deputy Chief Building Official, the Southwest Middlesex Public Works Department, the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, the County Engineer, and Hydro One. And comments were received after the writing of the report by the Lower Thames Conservation Authority, and they advised that they have no objections to the application, although an application from the Lower Thames is required prior to any works or construction taking place within the regulated land, and setbacks from watercourses will be required to any proposed works or structures or site alteration. And no public comments have been received to date. So staff recommend that application for consent B25-2024 be granted, subject to the 14 conditions in the report, including limiting the size to approximately 1.2 acres for the lands to be severed for the reasons outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Alana. The applicant or their representative now has the opportunity to speak to this. Would you like to come up, Stephen?
Yes.
Again, Kendra will make sure that you're wired there if you have any difficulty. Thank you for joining us, and we're interested in hearing your opinions on this.
Certainly. Well, good evening, councilors. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Stephen Fernandez, and I act on behalf of the applicant, Akeem Kugler, with respect to this consent application. I agree with the overview provided by the planner. The applicant is agreeable to the conditions proposed, but we have to provide some additional background. So the subject lands have one pin but 2 municipal addresses. 3019 Switzer Drive is the severed parcel, and 3963 Switzer Drive is the retained parcel. As it currently is, the severed parcel is used for residential purposes, but not agricultural purposes. It contains a residential dwelling that is surrounded by woodlands and a creek. The woodlands and creek separate the severed parcel from the retained parcel, and they're also within natural heritage areas. These features have rendered the severed parcel unsuitable for farming. The retained parcel is used for both residential and agricultural purposes, namely to produce soybeans and hay and to store farm equipment. It contains a residence and farm buildings. This consent application is consistent with the provincial funding statement and the official plans, fundamentally because it will have no negative impact on agriculture once completed. Now, there are many sections in the provincial planning statement, including sections relating to surplus residences. But if I take all of these sections, distill them to the underlying legislative intent, what is the purpose behind all this? The core legislative intent is that agricultural lands shall be protected for farming purposes to maximize productivity and to serve as a core component of Ontario's economy. In the present circumstances, proposed severance will have no impact on the farming operations taking place on the retained parcel. There will be no loss of land suitable for agriculture. Severed parcel unsuitable for farming has never been used as such to Mr. Akeem's knowledge. All buildings, as noted, are in good condition. The parcels have separate water and waste disposal systems and separate vehicular access. Lastly, Mr. Kugler's vision and intention are consistent with the intent behind the land use plan documents, and that he plans to maintain status quo and maximize crop yield on the retained parcel. He, as a longtime Ontario farmer, has tremendous experience in maximizing crop yield and improving track record, and the proposed severance, if seen to completion, will not inhibit his ability to do so in any material fashion. If there are any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, like I said, we are in agreement with the proposed conditions. And it has been nice to meet you all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Stephen, very much. Councillor, are there any questions you would like to ask their legal representative through the chair? Yes, Martin, please go ahead.
I totally agree with what Stephen says. I remember, just to show how old I am, I was catching turkeys in the 1960s, right across the road there. So I know this area really well. I've driven by it. It's all woods, 4.6 acres. And we just had a motion there in December to preserve woodlands. You tightened up. So therefore, I'm in complete agreement that it should be 4.6 acres.
Thank you very much, Martin. Much appreciated.
Okay. Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes.
I'll second Councillor Fick's motion.
Okay, thanks. Is there discussion on this? Yes, Councillor Choi.
Can you tell us where the well is on 4019?
The well would be depicted on the severance sketch that was submitted with our application. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of same in my folder here. If the finder has access to same, kindly let me know.
So the well is located in approximately in this area up here.
You want to see that, Council? Where is she? Her cursor just something there, yeah.
I just located a physical copy if I may approach the councillor and give her the sketch.
Yes, by all means. Stephen, in my observation of such applications like this, I make a point of, taking a drive by, looking at an aerial view, and I can see that with the increased size, there will be no confiscation of agricultural product lands. And I think there's that probably there is a larger intent to preserve the woodlands if they were in that private ownership, that section. It adds value to the property, and they would maintain it in a responsible manner. And we know that under the jurisdiction of the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, they have stringent guidelines and principles that they follow to protect shoreline, to assist landowners in that regard, and to prohibit any development near that river. Yeah. Oh, the planner, yes, go ahead, please. Alana, yeah.
Thanks for making through you. So staff just wanted to note that forestry is considered an agricultural use. And, you know, all lands outside of our settlement area boundaries are considered prime agricultural land. So our policies do speak to, you know, minimizing the size of the lot to be severed to ensure that that farmland is retained, including like forests. So thank you.
And I presume will be continued for us. Any other questions? Yeah, Councilor Pink, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just like to point out, I believe these trees were all planted by the looks of it. I happen to own 50 acres of bush myself, and they're all the same type of trees. So it really wouldn't be a forestry that's a cash producing situation.
All right. Last call for questions. Yes, Councilor Myers, please go ahead.
This parcel, does it have a lot of ravines and stuff going through it, or is it just flat? Is there any, like I know it's it's an extra 3 acres. It seems to be quite a bit, but there was ravines and stuff going through it. You couldn't, you know, take the trees out of there and make it farmland. I'm like, who's to say that's not gonna happen, but that's down the road. Just a question.
Yeah, what's the topography like near the river? I know that there's some pretty wild country. I've been on a snowmobile trail up there, and it's can be pretty tough. Does anybody walk that section? Yeah, planner? Yeah, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. So just based on the imagery of the property, it appears that it's flat. I'm not positive though. And, you know, according to the severance sketch, it just shows the creek as the only water course. So I'm not sure if there's anything else on the property that would, thank you.
Okay. One more question, Martin.
Well, one more comment there. So there isn't, the creek goes all the way around. So with the big equipment nowadays, you're not going to remove 2 acres of trees and try, and this creek curls around, it's not like a straight creek here. So that's definitely a detriment to that creek.
Yeah. A detriment to farming, but a positive for a residential lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. The chair's going to call the question. If I have your attention, all in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Carry unanimously by Southwest Middlesex Council. Okay. Thank you, Stephen and Alana. We appreciate your recommendations, and we take them to heart. And we know that you are bound to follow guidelines, and sometimes this council find gray in between black and white, but we appreciate your services very much. So don't feel discouraged on that account. And I'm sure Stephen shares the same opinion.
I do.
All right, take care. Okay, we've made our decision. Council, back probably program number 7 on the agenda. And a motion to go back into the regular council meeting at 6:41. Can I have that motion, please? Councilor Choi, Councilor Hill, all in favor? Carried. We're now into the public meeting and zoning part of this meeting now. Zoning amendment application P, it's in Peter 14/2024, submitted by Tulip Acres Incorporated, Daryl Borsma at 21-111 Dundonald Road. The meeting order is as follows. The planner will present the staff report. Go ahead, Alana.
Erin Beth is present virtually, so she's going to present.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first public meeting before council this evening, again, is for 2111 Dundonald Road. The applicant has already gone through the severance process. Council will be very familiar. I believe in December was when we brought the consent for surplus farm dwelling severance. So hopefully the property is fresh in your mind. So the applicant, as part of the condition of severance, was required to apply for the rezoning of the lands, which is very standard for these types of severances. So the application is requesting to amend the severed lands from general agricultural A1 zone to the rural residential RR zone. And again, this is to recognize the residential use of the lands and limit any permitted uses on the property. These retained lands are proposed to be rezoned from the general agricultural A1 zone to the agriculture A2 zone. And this would prohibit the establishment of new dwellings on the remnant farm parcel, which is required under the provincial policy statement, of course, in our our county and local official plans as well. So the severed lands, they contain a single detached dwelling, privately owned well and septic system. I do want to note again, as I mentioned in the December meeting, the aerial photo that is in the location map, it does show a number of agricultural buildings. However, those have all been removed. So it's really the single detached dwelling that is there currently. The retained lands are primarily in agricultural production. There is a significant woodland that is identified as well as a tributary of the Thames River. And of course, the Thames River abuts the property to the southwest. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did not receive any comments or concerns other than no objection or no comment. At the time of the report being published, we had not received comments from the Lower Thames Conservation Authority. We have now at this point, and they've identified that although the property, the majority of the property is regulated, they do not have a concern with the rezoning application. So I am satisfied that the zoning standards of the parent RR zone and the parent A2 zone are met in this application. Therefore, I am satisfied that they are appropriate. I have drafted a bylaw for council's consideration this evening, and I am open to any questions from any councillors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll just save those questions until we go through the procedures. The applicant or their representative will have a chance to speak if they wish. I presume they're not present. Council, are there any remarks or questions that you would like to ask planning? Seeing none, there have been no oral submissions from delegates or no written submissions. I take it I have not been advised of any. The applicant may make final remarks, but we have heard nothing but silence. Continue with that. Your decision, council. Yes, Martin, please go ahead.
Move the recommendation.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Choi, I saw your hand first. Questions? All in favor? Carried. Planning, thank you very much, both of you. We appreciate that. And there's the 7.2 follows zoning bylaw amendment application P15/2024, submitted by Jody Kennedy on behalf of Jaswell Farms, 22933 Melbourne Road. Planning, please present the staff report.
Here. Perfect. So the next application before council this evening, again, is for 22933 Melbourne Road. This is similar to the previous application in that it is a rezoning that was required as part of a condition of surplus farm dwelling severance. This application, or the severance application, was brought forward in September, and now we are proceeding with the rezoning. So the applicant has requested to rezone the severed lands from the general agricultural A1 zone to the rural residential RR zone. Again, that is to recognize the residential use, and also to rezone the retained lands from the general agricultural A1 zone to the agricultural A2 zone to ensure that no residential dwellings will be constructed in the future. The severed lands contain a single detached dwelling and a shed, and they are serviced by private well and septic as well. The retained lands contain agricultural land in crop production, as well as some significant woodland. They are vacant of buildings and structures, and no change of use is proposed at this time. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did not receive any negative comments or concerns or objections. The Conservation Authority advised that they don't have any comments in regards to the rezoning. Anything that they provided was part of the surplus severance. So I'm satisfied that the provisions of the RR and A2 zone can be met. However, I do want to note that the shed on the lands to be severed is larger than the maximum permitted size under the RR zone, being 200 square meters. However, we do have a section in the zoning bylaw that speaks to buildings that are legally constructed on properties that undergo a consent application, having more than the maximum height or maximum lot area than is required, than is permitted under the parent zone. And it basically says that they can be deemed to be compliant with the zoning bylaw. So no minor variance or no site-specific identification is really required as part of that. So I am satisfied that the zones are appropriate, and my recommendation this evening is approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate that flexibility on that building. The applicant will be allowed to speak, or the representative, if they're present. Council remarks, are there any? There have been no oral or written submissions. We can skip applicant's final remarks, council decision. What's your direction, council? The recommendation be accepted? Councilor McGill, seconder. Councilor Haggett, all in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you again, planning. We'll look forward to seeing you down the road. Thanks for all you do. We are now on staff reports. 881, Chief Administrative Officer, the CAO quarterly status report for Q4 2024. Amanda, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. This report is provided to council with a quarterly update on key activities and progress across all municipal departments, highlighting, achievements and ongoing projects. It does note that the first quarter reports for 2020, or first quarter priorities for 2025 are, of course, the 2025 budget, continuing grant applications, completing any deferred projects, and advancing key strategic initiatives, as well as our key capital projects for 2025, which have already received approval to move forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, staff. We appreciate those reports, Amanda, very much. Good reading. Any questions, council? Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. I just wondered if we could get an update on the animal control contract, when we can expect to see that come from council.
Thanks for that. We are in the process of reviewing the submissions, and we anticipate that at the next council meeting, February 5th, council will receive a report for consideration at that meeting.
Do we not have another meeting towards the end of January?
We do not. This is the only meeting in January the 15th, and the next is February.
Great, thank you. Yeah, there's one meeting in January, 2 meetings in February. County are one January, 1 February. Yep. Okay, just to add to that, I want to thank you again for submitting those reports and also your weekly reports. It's an onerous job doing that, but council, I think, really appreciate that. And just to remind council that Man's evaluation, 6-month evaluation, will be coming near within the next 30 to 35 days, and these reports are very helpful in that regard to do an assessment. Thank you. Martin, did I see your hand with a question?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. Any idea, Amanda, when the budget meetings are going to start?
Thank you. Through you, great question. We are diligently working on progress, and we also anticipate that at the February 5th meeting, council will receive a timeline of all the meeting dates and the concrete plans for the budget's next steps.
Okay.
Thank you.
We will look forward to that. Okay, staff, I will have a motion to receive the Q4 report as information, as their mover and seconder. Councillor Myers, Councillor Choi, all in favor? Carried. And 8.12, the recommendation of that's put forth in respect to a food truck operation on municipal lands. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Through you. As outlined in the report, a local food truck owner has requested permission to locate a food truck on municipal lands. Currently, we do not have any policies or bylaws regulating food trucks. This report is brought to council seeking direction on whether this is an opportunity council wishes to explore on municipal properties. And if so, we do recommend drafting a regulating bylaw related to food trucks. If council supports the initiative tonight for further investigation, staff would draft a bylaw for review. It could be as early as the February meeting, and then we could proceed to next steps. If approved, there would be no immediate cost associated with preparing the report for council consideration. However, there is potential for revenue generation as in practice, food truck vendors on municipal property do pay fees to municipalities. They would need to be negotiated, of course, but something I'm happy also to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Just to add to that, the benefit of a bylaw is that everyone is treated the same. Mm-hmm. And the inquiry came from an operator that I'm sure everyone on this horseshoe is driven by the trailer. It's on UN Avenue in Concession, that large red trailer that's there. He has approximately 40 years experience in the food serving industry. He has done this before at Rondo in the park there. And this is a new food trailer, a significant investment on that in the 6 figures. It's significant to build. And he is also, I believe he is also in conversations with minor soccer on this too, to see if there could be some food available to mothers, fathers, grandparents that are watching their children play soccer. So that's it. I'll open up to the floor for questions. Amanda, I'm sure you can answer them. Any questions? Yes, Councilor Hackett.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I think that we know the houses for sale, we have standing pizza places and restaurants. I think it's a great idea. I personally like to see the train station to be to the west of a little storage shed. I think that'd be a great spot. I think we own all that across there. I'm not sure how the reindeer stations at, but I'm
Thank you. Appreciate those comments, Councilor Hackett. Yes, Councilor Schultheis.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. So you're looking for a motion to bring a report back to council on this? Is that what you're looking for today?
Thank you. Through you. Yes, the motion I think does recommend that I come back with a regulating bylaw. However, I wouldn't want to put the effort into a regulating bylaw if it was something that council knew absolutely they didn't want to pursue. So by directing us to do that, there should be some, I think, consensus that it would be supported with the details still to be worked out.
Second to that, Councilor Hagan. Discussion? Yes, Councilor Joy, and followed by Councilor Lee.
Thank you. Through you to Amanda, do you know how long they want to be on municipal land? Is it just for summer or is it other?
Thank you, great question. Through you, this particular vendor is interested in locating there seasonally, but expanding into the late fall. So as early as kind of the thaw, the early spring, and then into the late fall, but keeping it at the location permanently for the whole a whole season.
In my conversation with them nearing Thanksgiving. And Councilor Link, your question, thanks for your patience.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll have a couple of questions just to elaborate on what Amy mentioned. So that would be full-time, early spring to late fall at this site. In other words, during the daytime all week.
Thank you, Councilor Mink. I think the agreement with the food truck vendor would certainly allow them to be open during any time that they wish, but they would still be able to regulate their own business hours. So I can't confirm whether their intent is to be open. I do believe it is all the time, but they would be able to set their own hours.
And my other question is, you mentioned about that we would have to have a bylaw, and then, so they would have to pay a fee. Is that correct? To a license fee or whatever?
So the bylaw would require an application. It could or could not require an application fee. But as part of the process with the bylaw, the food truck owner would be required to enter into an agreement with the municipality, and the agreement would specify fees, more particularly fees to the municipality to offset the costs associated with hydro, for example, rent of the premises, water, utilities, and they would be more on that end. At this time, I'm not sure if there would be an application fee. If there was, it would be minimal, and certainly that would be something council could set during the bylaw.
Yeah, because I'm a little concerned about that. We have 2 or 3 in our ward. Maybe there I think we have 2 at least. And so would they have to follow the same bylaw? So in other words, if there's an application fee, would they have to pay that as well, or business?
That's a great point. I think there's absolutely a way to address that. So through the bylaw, we could, if there was a fee for the application, we could leave it for existing and have it only for new businesses, or we could just process an application without a fee. All something we could debate during the bylaw discussion with council.
Yes, because I think there's another person that's thinking about setting something up as well. So that's what I'm a little leery about this new situation.
There's a real appetite for food trucks in the community. I'm amazed by it. Yeah, Councilor Scholl, nice following Councilor Joy.
I'll let you appreciate it.
Thank you. 2 questions, I suppose. So this would only, the bylaw would only be for food trucks on the municipal lands, or just food trucks in general?
Thank you. I think that's the clarification question missing. The bylaw would regulate all food trucks within the municipality with the same requirements. But the rental agreements or the agreements with food trucks would only be entered into when they are on municipal lands. So when they're not on municipal lands, they would have to comply with the bylaw, and then the requirements will be standard. Like they should already be compliant. Things like they have public health inspections, fire inspects them annually, those kinds of things. But the agreements for revenue would only be on municipal lands.
Thank you. And then my second question, for the one that we're specifically speaking to now, does it operate using a generator? Or how does it have?
My understanding is that he has a power source to plug into an outlet. So that's something we would make sure when we cited the location, if approved by council, he had the appropriate connections. And if there was any work to municipal facilities required to provide the appropriate connection on our property, we would certainly recoup that through our agreement process with them.
He does have a generator on the board as well, and I'm not sure if it's 110 or 220, but he told me, I forgot. But if it's 220, it might be a little more problematic, but we'll, staff will go through that and work it out. Yes.
Just wondered if this vendor had mentioned preferred location.
He has. We've discussed two locations, one being the train station parking lot, and the other being the arena parking lot, I'll say kind of adjacent, behind the Project 2000 site. There's a gated area there. His preference is the train station of those two locations.
Do you know if we have hydro back there? I'm not sure.
I believe, I did review with our manager of community services and facilities, and he believes that either site could be accommodated.
There's also the tool shed back there too, which is a high equipment building also. Okay, yeah, Amanda and I had the benefit of seeing his menu. It's extremely extensive. Extremely extensive. Okay. Council, it has been moved to second, I believe. Yes, Kendrick?
Yeah, I'm just going to clarify the motion. The report was for council to provide direction on, yeah. So I think that's what Deputy Mayor Schultes, my understanding is that you'd like a report back with the bylaw for review of everything.
Okay. And it has
And
been
that's
seconded?
yeah.
Okay. Last call for questions. All in favor of the motion? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I think that's a good way forward.
We're all getting hungry over here.
Yeah.
We're on our own.
Yes, good, yeah. Okay, we've got that. Support application for Southwestern Ontario Development Fund. Amanda, would you like to advise council of this, please?
Yes, through you. This report is seeking council's endorsement to apply to the Southwestern Ontario Development Fund to fund servicing infrastructure at the industrial park, supporting Southwest Middlesex economic development goals. Overall, the project is estimated to cost $2.5 million, providing full servicing, water, wastewater, stormwater, and utilities to that park and attract light industrial and business development, creating jobs, and diversifying the tax base. So the report recommends approval to apply to the fund, and it also recommends approval of a resolution that the municipality will commit to funding up to 50% of the cost of the project, which is $1.25 million. If we were successful in the grant, we would need to partner at a 50% rate with the Southwestern Ontario Development Fund. And committing to that for the grant application, I think would strengthen the grant application, and so it showed that council is supportive of the project. In terms of funding that $1.25 million, the municipality does plan to apply to the Middlesex County Economic Development Loan Program, which offers 0% financing for specifically economic development projects targeted at industrial land. They've recently updated their loan program, which used to focus on water and sewer, to focus specifically on projects exactly like this one. So while I cannot speak for county council, I suspect that our chances of approval are quite high because there are no other projects planned to go forward that the development department is aware of at this time. And of course, servicing the industrial park will enhance infrastructure and attract private sector investment, increase tax revenue, and support our economic development priorities. Happy to answer any questions.
Just to add to, over a period of time, we'll get that money back through sale of these properties as well. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mary. You just reminded me exactly on that point. So with our projected land sales estimated on a cost recovery basis between $80,000 and $100,000 per acre at the industrial park, and the 44 acres available, we are projected to recoup more than the servicing cost at this point. So if we put in 1.25 million, when we sell on the land, we will recoup more than the 2.5 million projected servicing cost. So as we sell land, we would be able to pay back the county at a 0% interest rate. Thanks for that reminder. That's an important point I think you should know.
So there's a cost recovery. Okay, council, the recommendation is before you. Are there any questions you have to ask? Yes, Councilor Lincoln.
First of all, I'd like to point out we certainly have an investment in there besides the 2.5 million. What I'm a little concerned about is we have other infrastructure issues in Southwest Middlesex. We have no legal outlets and drains in Warrensville. I've heard through the grapevine that there's a problem in some of the piping, some of the drains. And we've been talking about a fire station. So we've already put in a lot of money into Ward 2 in infrastructure, and I think we should start looking at it. Now, we're Southwest Middlesex and looking at other areas for infrastructure as well.
So we're looking at the subject of employment opportunities also comes up in this conversation. And that's important as well. And we need to cultivate an atmosphere where people have places to work. That is something that hasn't been talked about in this agenda item. That is a requirement for employment. Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I just wondered, do we know when we could hear back on this?
Thank you, through you. I don't. The deadline is coming up January 25th of this month. I haven't seen a projected timeline. I am on when they will award, although I am meeting with a grant representative from the ministry tomorrow to discuss preliminarily our application, so I can certainly find that out. I think it will be this year. So if we were awarded the grant, we should know by the summer in time to be able to still tender the project if we were to move forward that quickly.
Sure.
And it says contingent on grant approval, which I agree with. What happens if we don't get the grant? Where do we stand with this?
So if we don't get the grant, council could revisit options. So certainly, I was initially thinking that we could apply for the full amount of the 2.5 million to the county for their 0% loan program, because again, all those funds would be recouped as the lands were sold. And so that would certainly be an option, and I think it's the most financially feasible option. The other option for financing, of course, would be just taking from our capital budget, which would take away from immediate infrastructure projects, or loan financing, but then you're taking on an interest rate when the county loan program is a 0% interest rate and targeted specifically for projects of this nature. So that would be my suggestion.
And in addition, actually this Monday, Amanda and I will be having breakfast with Steve Disnell in the legislature. So I will make sure anyway that I'm perhaps in a better position than Amanda to make sure that he advocates on our behalf for this grant. So we'll put a little pressure on him, and sometimes that's required in order to get this funding through. Yeah, it's a gamble, but we'll certainly do everything in our power to try to obtain that 1.5 million. Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, so I'm in support of this. We need to do something with that land.
Would you make that a motion to recommend it? Thank you very much. Is there a second for that? Councilor Hagan. Discussion. Final call for discussion. Seeing no hands, the chair will call the question. All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Thank you, Amanda. Let's see where we are here. 8.1.4, Integrity Commissioner Services Contract. If you could walk us through this?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Through you. So as all of you know, the municipality is required to have an integrity commissioner to provide advice, training, and investigation services related to the Code of Conduct and the Conflict of Interest Act. Aaron Burles has served in this role for Southwest Middlesex since 2020 with consistent and professional services, as far as I've been told. I'll say. This report is seeking council's direction to negotiate a new contract with Aaron Burles for integrity commissioner services for a term of March 31st, 2025 to December 31st, 2027. The rationale behind the recommendation is threefold. One, Aaron Burles offers expertise in municipal law and familiarity with Southwest Middlesex's processes already. The services are comprehensive and competitively priced. There's no annual retainer, unlike some other integrity commissioner services. And renewing the contract avoids any service gaps and additional expenditures on RFP processes. And actually, that force, it actually brings the contract into the next term of council. So following the 2026 election, there would be the ability for that council to decide whether to extend or to RFP or anything like that. There are no financial implications as a result of this report. If council approved this report, I would work with the integrity commissioner to negotiate an updated contract, and that would come back to council for further consideration. However, I will remind you that integrity commissioner services in our current contract are billed on a per hour rate, so we only incur costs when the service is utilized. Happy to answer any questions.
Floor is open to you, council. Any questions? Just to add to that, what wasn't said, it is very difficult. There's not many people who do this work. It's really a premium who does it, how far away they are too. I think there's birds that's not that far away. They're in London, I mean, yeah. Toronto, it's I know it's a challenge. The county have looked at other providers and they're very few and far between. Okay, council, what's your wish? Yes, Deputy Mayor Shoulders.
I'll make a motion to proceed with this and we'll get the report back.
Okay, I'm second for that. Councilor Myers, thank you. All in favor? Carried. 8.1.5.
Thank you. This report is seeking council's endorsement for a revised partnership with AZ Events to host bi-weekly Glencoe summer markets with an intent to address the previous council concerns regarding the former proposal and location and facility use. The parameters of the market have not changed, still proposed to run bi-weekly on Thursday evenings from June to September. Same partnership with AZ Events. The key things that have changed are that one, they're looking at 2 alternate locations. One being the train station parking lot, which I think could still operate with a food truck if that comes out. That is their vendor's preferred location. And as a second option, the municipal parking lot here that is paved right here. And instead of seeking municipal fees waived for the events in case of rain, they are planning to proceed on a rain or shine basis. So if it rains, we're having a market. Unless there's inclement weather or severe weather where that might be dangerous, they'll just cancel the event. And again, the partnership arrangements with AZ have not changed. They would manage all logistics, insurance, vendors, everything like that. And the only municipal responsibility would really just be to assist with advertising on our municipal website. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council? Yes, Councilor Shoulders.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for clarification, then our staff won't have any, won't be involved with this then, with the setup or taking over anything?
No, they wouldn't need to be. So the vendors will arrange and coordinate all the logistics related to the layout. There may be some initial staff involvement with like providing feedback on a layout to ensure that parking and as much as possible, those kinds of things are taken care of. But on a day-to-day, our staff will not be there running the market. It will all be run by ASEC.
And they're not looking to use now. In case of rain.
No, they are not any longer based on the previous council feedback.
Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Bain, go ahead.
Just a comment, there's been a market report by Watersville, or it's not right downtown. The one in Strathroy is on the edge of Strathroy near the new hotel. One in Chatham was a mile or two outside, right by Delta Farm Equipment, used to be Casera Equipment. It was well, a lot of people were going to it. So I don't see where it has to be downtown. It's unfair to some of the business owners there. And the only way I was toward margins and was towards the arena.
Just to comment on that, Councillor Bink, I think what we're trying to do is benefit the downtown. We're not trying to detract from the downtown. I think I'm going to get my gavel up here. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for that, Deputy Mitchell Wilson. I'm not sure where the negativity is coming from this subject on this farmers market and the downtown involvement. I've attended the vast majority of CCC meetings, and there was unanimous support around the table on this farmers market and going forward. And an exhaustive effort was used to find local administration for this type of venue, and it failed for two reasons: long-term commitment over the summer and early fall, and the amount of both administration and hands-on work that would be required. The opinions of people matter, but when one or two individuals influence the direction of council, I'm concerned with that. I think it's unfair. Not proceeding with this market will set the downtown business and service community back 7 to 8 years, in my opinion. Staff had pulled this project out of the fire with a reasonable footprint that addressed many of the concerns that we had at the last meeting, particularly the Legion. We didn't want to encumber any circumstance onto them. And I urge council to look upon that recommendation that's been brought forth in favor. The Celebrate Community Committee look forward to the traffic and the spirit that a market would deliver. The suggestion of a Thursday night market is exceptionally important. Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening market. It was made in consideration of competition from other markets, the availability of vendors, and the administrative time window, where the only group that would administrate this market, it would convenience them as well. And they had marketing favors by having a Thursday evening too. And I believe in not supporting the recommendation, we'll lose the opportunity of a market. This will fall into disfavor with many people in the community as well. And I think that we have to look at the opinions of the broader market and not just a minor segment of that. And I certainly endorse the recommendation as it's rendered. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, I overruled the deputy mayor's chair. He's got the chair.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Councillor Myers, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We talked about closing the roads last time. Or streets. Are we doing that this time?
Thank you for asking for that clarification. And no, the market is intended to remain in the footprint with no road closures.
Okay, so I will support this. At the train station.
Yeah.
And is it for just the duration of 1 year? This agreement is for 1 year, and then we can review it?
Yes.
And I wondered if we could have it in the review process that we should, and I just wondered in the review process if we could have the ability for the downtown merchants to give their input at the end of 1 year so that we know what they're thinking, so the council knows what's going on the Main Street.
Sure. I mean, if council wants us to elicit local business feedback, we can do that at any time and attempt that. So it doesn't need to be in our agreement, but we could before renewing the agreement, which would be for 1 year to start as a pilot. We could certainly do an engagement process if that was what council wanted to pursue.
Thank you, and Mike, I'm gonna let you call the question on this. In regard to asking the downtown, I think that is important, but I just advise the council too that a large majority of the downtown is not retail. It is the service industry. It's the financial and banking and insurance industry. Quad County Residential Services have a large footprint. They are at those CCC meetings, and I know, I don't want to mention names, but I know that caregivers on that team look very favorably upon this farmers market being in that location. And it's valuable for any council member to attend one of those CCC meetings, because there's a good menu of various people throughout the community. And I think if we're going to ask for an opinion on it might be good to include the CCC as opposed to just the merchants downtown, because they cover a lot of bases.
Councilor Haggard?
Yeah, I just didn't like the road goals, I didn't like the train stations go. Can I move that we go for this, or do we have to, did you move it?
I think it already is.
Okay, well, I'll second.
Okay, that's good. Sounds good. It's up to Mike.
You've got that, Kendra. Any other comments, concerns, questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? All opposed? Duly noted, motion carried.
Good. Thank you, Mike. Okay, 1.5 is done with. 8.16, support and endorsement of an application to the Municipal Climate Resilience Fund. Council, I'll let Amanda talk to this. This is another opportunity for us to clean some money out of the province. Go ahead, Amanda.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew, through you. This grant application is actually provided through our insurer, Intact Financial, for municipal climate resiliency programs. So we have reviewed the terms of the grant, and we are recommending that council endorse the staff to make an application for a sump pump disconnect and backflow prevention program, which will be aimed at reducing basement flooding and enhancing climate resilience. The program still has the parameters to be set, but we would apply for funding to provide private owner subsidy for ensuring that their sanitary and stormwater are separated, and also that their homes have backflow prevention. And in the event of floods, what that does is, one, it lowers the volume in our sanitary system, because stormwater, we believe, is going into there and increasing the volume, creating backups in basements of septic material, and also protects homes by creating that backflow, so it's much harder for homes to flood in the event of a large rain event. So that's what we're seeking endorsement for today.
In addition, there's a charge. Every liter of water that goes through that system goes through a cost that we pay to the province of Ontario. So by reducing that water, we reduce our costs. Yeah, Councillor Joy, please go ahead.
Thank you. This is something that we were told was going to happen or get looked into over a year ago. So I'm happy to see this come forward, and I will support the application.
Okay, you'll make that a motion, Councillor Choi. Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Haggett. Any more discussion? Yeah, there's the last one. Martin, Deputy Mayor, Jody, doing in that order. Yeah, Martin, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I just wondered if I'm in favor of this, but if we are fortunate to get it, whether it can be put in a newsletter, because people in Warrensville are flooded out as well. And so that might be the only way they are aware of this situation.
Yeah, we have to market it out. It wouldn't be available to everyone in this battle. Yeah.
Yes, it would be available to everyone, and yes, we would ensure that we marketed it so everyone is aware of the subsidy opportunity and the application process.
Even if we had something we could put in a water bill or something like that too, it'd be a hands-on hard copy that a lot of people would appreciate, I'm sure. Okay, yes, yeah, go ahead.
I think my question's been answered, but I just like to make sure. It's not just for flooded areas, like a history of flooding, anybody in the municipality can do this.
So that's a great question. The parameters of so our grant application, council would just be approving us applying for this subsidy and submitting an application to this grant. The parameters of the program could still be set by council. Council could do it in different ways. One would be to target the areas that have been impacted by flooding in the past, or to open it up to the entire municipality. So that decision could be made in the future. I've seen examples of both in other
So there's no
municipalities.
stipulations.
As part of the grant program, no, there is not.
Yes, Joey.
So all the new builds, is there a bylaw that they have to put them back for builds
So you're starting to answer that question. So with all the new builds, the cell phones are connected directly to the storm sewers. The building code does suggest putting the backflow, but it's not a requirement. What is required is the back water valve on the sanitary systems.
Thank you.
Okay, the 3 questions to the right, they all been looked after. Okay, this has been moved, it has been seconded. Any questions to the north? I think you're okay. Okay, all in favor? Carry. Okay, support endorsement of application to municipal college. We've done that. Okay. Council, we're on E2, the clerk's report, none. Finance, Mac, got a couple of things here. Endorsement of audit engagement and planning letter, 2025. Can you walk council through this, Mac?
Yes, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to council. The first motion here is recommending that we accept and endorse the auditor engagement and planning letters. Just to give a bit of history on this, from what I can see in past years, this has all been done in one bunch at the end of the audit, which kind of doesn't sit well with the fact that this is an engagement letter which starts the process. So signing it at the end doesn't really make the appropriateness of the letter. Okay. What also in here is the planning letters, which set out what is expected of both the auditors and our corporation. So again, signing all of these documents at the end doesn't fit the requirement. Also, in the last few years, the audit standard requirements have stated that these letters have to be signed, and what the auditors have been doing is they've been pushing it at the very end, but really it should be at the start of the process. So today, what I'm asking for is that these letters be signed currently. For next year, we'll actually be signing them in November before the process starts, because the auditors have already started their initial phases.
Okay.
So, any questions on that?
Sure. Yes, through the chair of the MAC. Any? Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, is there a second? Councilor Hagan? Questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mac, very much. 8.3.1, and I think you're on again. 8.3.2, Mac.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. So the next application here is, recommendation here is to accept staff's recommendation to join the membership through application to Renewed Procurement Group of Canada. as it states, a procurement group is essentially going out and doing all the legwork that we would normally do in order to find the best price for products that we require here at the municipality. The benefits are listed in the report. However, what I want to make mention of is that they find the best price for the vendors. Okay, we won't find on our own merit a better price. So using this type of program is excellent for us. Now, using the program is not restrictive. We can say never to using it, or we can use it as much as we feel fit. It's a tool in our tool belt. It's not something that we have to use. Okay. Again, there's no cost to this, so no risk there. One of the things I want to push though is the canoe procurement group was created by AMO's service department. So the interests behind this are all for the municipalities. Okay. I'll leave it at that if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Again, Canoe are a very big organization. A lot of small municipalities use them. It's less work and less cost for our staff. And as Max said, it's an open door policy. We can use it or ignore it, but it's very advantageous to keep the cost of doing business down. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah, Mayor Schultz.
Thank you. We discussed this with some people at Middlesex Center. They don't really have it. They're quite happy with it. My question is either to Mac or Amanda, I'm not sure who wants to take it. Will this create any changes to our existing policy using this?
At this time, there are areas of the policy that would allow for this. It's very close in nature to cooperative, which is part of the program. It's also very close to part of the Section A, or excuse me, Schedule A, where it allows for vendors of record. So the Ontario government has said these are the types of vendors that we have. Please go ahead and use them, in which case we wouldn't have to go through much of the process, which is in the procedures. But it's not exactly the same, because vendors of record are what Ontario government say are good, right? So this is, AMO is an association of municipalities. It's not a government organization, so it doesn't fit the exact same, but all the interests are there. So what we would do is we would using this as a tool once again. Okay, it's not the absolute and only thing that we would use. We would still obviously consider if there are requirements that don't fit what's in the procurement abilities to define, we would have to go elsewhere. Okay. So I hope that answers.
Anything else to add, or is that?
Other than that.
So
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, will you move that?
yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second for that? Councillor Haggett, questions? Yes, Councillor Fink, please.
So, Mark, you stated there's no membership cost, so certain, they do the procurement, like say, we've got a new building going on. Do they do the tenders then, or how does that work?
Again, it really depends on what services and products that are available through the program. If we see fit, we can go through the program to get those vendors.
Yes, follow up, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So we don't have to use them all the time, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Again, it's an option, it's a tool.
Okay, any other questions, Council? That's been moved and seconded. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Mac, very much. I think that gets you off the hook there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Eight point four, Public Works, Morrow. Can you talk to us about the Limerick landfill closure?
Yes, through Mr. Mayor to Council, forward your report outlining the tender results for the Limerick landfill closure final cover stormwater drainage works. We received 7 bids. The tendering process complied with our municipal procurement policy for goods and services. The recommended tender is within budget. Staff recommend awarding the tender to ASG Excavating Incorporated, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Just, if I could take the liberty of asking the first question, Morrill, it was very good news, some of the tender results that we received on this. You and I chatted briefly about it today, and with the funds that have been agreed upon a long time ago by Chatham, Kent, and Newbury will offset this to some degree. So we're pleased with that. Could you expound on that just briefly?
I guess I'm going to look to the manager of finance to maybe help out with this question. So it's my understanding that myself and the CAO, we've been working with the neighboring municipalities and working out an agreement on what those funds would be. But we're still working towards that, and it hasn't yet been finalized. But we've had good reception in that, so I think it's very positive moving forward.
That was my inclination as well. Council, anything that comes in more competitive, we appreciate. Deputy Mayor, Councilor Bink, one question back here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I see that our estimated cost was almost twice this in October. So, if I just back up, I appreciate how many tenders that we received. That was really good to see. But my question is there any additional costs associated with this work that you can foresee?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, the engineering component and the contract administration. So there'll still be WSP's fees for the contract administration for the project.
Do we know roughly what that is?
$60,000.
Thank you.
Yeah, did you say 60,000?
Yeah, 60,000,
Oh,
which is the estimate.
60,000. And was there anything else to be mentioned? Was there another fee as well? Or?
At this point, it will be the contract administration, engineering, and then the contractor's cost.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and again, like we did really well with the 7 bids, and you can see the range of costs there, from 876,000 to 2.6 million, right? There's quite a range, so I think the municipality did really well with this tender.
One last quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Where's the fill coming from?
Great question. So we were working with the greenhouse operation because they had a large amount of fill. So we sent out an addendum to all the bidding contractors and let them know that there's material there for use. But it was up to them to test it to ensure that it met the soils regulations for use in a landfill. So once this tender is awarded to ASG, if the council approved, then ASG will then test the material to ensure that it can be used for landfill.
So pretty heavy land as well. I know it is very good. Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, through the mayor tomorrow. So once this final closure is done, our only cost from then on will be the monitoring, I think. And how much a year is that approximately?
That's a good question through you, Mr. Mayor. It's my understanding that that'll only be left with the monitoring. I'd have to look into what that cost would be. We go year by year with WSP on negotiating fees. So once this is done, then we'd have to negotiate that fee.
Okay. Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes. Go ahead.
Well, I did, but Mayor forgot.
Oh, okay.
But maybe I was
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just asking what else, but you were right now.
All right, that's good. Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
I just wondered if we could look into, could our staff be trained to do the monitoring?
I don't think, you go ahead, you answer.
Yeah, that's so technically, no, our staff's not trained for that. That's something that is ministry required and reporting, and it's typically comes from a professional engineer.
Yeah, I am licensed to do it, but obviously. I think our staff might know trying to do this, would be quite a cost savings.
We can investigate that.
Yeah, certainly. Even if you check the contract we had with Dylan, that were involved in this from the beginning, I recollect that they were responsible for testing over a period of time as well. So just check that out. You may be surprised what you'll find in that agreement.
And Swan is where you get the training from.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mauro, very much. Recommendation has been made. I think questions about Phil have been answered. Any further questions, council? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept Public Works recommendation on Limerick. Councillor Myers, Councillor Vink. Last call for questions. All in favor? Carried. 84.2, Glencoe wastewater system upgrade, new forest main tender. Mauro, if you could walk council through this.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to council, this report presents the tender results for the Glencoe wastewater system upgrades, the new force main. We received 14 bids. The tendering process complied with our municipal procurement policy of goods and services. The recommended tender is within budget. Staff recommend awarding the tender to Type Group Incorporated. For council's information, this tender represents the first phase of the sanitary system upgrades. The second phase involving the upgrades to the Victoria Street pump station is anticipated to be tendered in the coming months. And I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Okay, thank you. The invitation has been extended for questions on the Glencoe wastewater system upgrades. Are there any? Yes, Councillor Vink, please go ahead.
I just wonder for our sake, maybe around to Laurel, whether you can clarify exactly what they're doing. They're putting in a 24-inch line from, oh, sorry. I'll re-ask the question of Laurel. I wonder if you could elaborate exactly what they are doing with this tender. Are they putting in a 24-inch line from the Victoria Street pump station to the lagoons?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, so basically we're putting a 350 mil new sanitary line from the Victoria Street pump station through the farmlands and the greenhouse operation to the lagoons.
And all the easements have been looked after, right?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, Martin, go ahead with all of there.
Okay, I didn't quite hear that, so you said something about a greenhouse and then.
Yes, so they're doing a 350 millimeter pipe from the Victoria Street pump station through the back of the farmland, through the greenhouse land to the lagoons.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Again, really good to see these tenders tomorrow. It's nice to see that many. And I've asked this every time this comes up. Do you have a rough idea on the timeline when this work will be completed? Or
It's a great question. So once this gets approved, we'll get into the contract administration component, getting them to sign. I think that when they start will be weather dependent. But we want to get going as soon as possible.
so this spring?
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Okay, good question. Okay, any others? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the Glencoe wastewater system upgrades to the new force main tender. Councillor Haggett, is there a second? Councillor Myers. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Four, two is looked after. Eight 4.3, the reduced load limit. Mauro, prize council of that.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to council. This report proposes the adoption of the reduced load limit bylaw for the municipality. Currently, the municipality does not have a bylaw to enforce the reduced load limits. Proposed bylaw aligns with section 122 of the Highway Traffic Act, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, Councillor Vink.
Okay, it mentions in the report there, tomorrow, about, different roads, but here it doesn't say what road, so what I'm concerned about is some of the side roads, farmers are trucking corn all year. A lot of times, they're selling corn in the spring. And, so we've never had this bylaw as mentioned, so are you talking about tar and chip roads, or what roads are you referring to?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's a good question. Currently, we have roads that are signed right now with the load restriction limit on it. Typically, it is with the hard surface roads. Gravel roads aren't typically signed with load limits unless they need to be. Unless they're going spongy or they're boiling or something's going wrong during the spring thaw. So the only roads that will be with that load reduced limit will be signed, and they are typically hard surface roads.
Okay, any follow-up? Good. Councillor McGill, please go ahead.
Through the mayor tomorrow, the second last motion that we approved was to close the Limerick landfill, and they're gonna have to move all that fill. And I guess some of it would have to go down the county road, which already has a half load limit. But then they'd have to go down our industrial road. This is supposed to be done by June 2025, I believe, right? So how's that gonna affect those people? Could we see if we can get that delayed a bit?
So it's a great question, and within the bylaw, it does allow myself as the public works manager to allow some leeway. So it would be up to myself and the public works supervisor. If we see that the road, maybe the frost is out of the road, or maybe it works better if it is in the road, because if the road's frozen, then it's not going to cause much damage. But hard surface roads, we come March 1st, we don't want them traveling down the hard surface roads. Gravel roads are, we can review those section roads, but in the tender, they were notified about the load restriction timeline, and they had to adjust their price accordingly, if need be.
Yes, Councillor Hackett.
Yeah, I don't believe in our division in this, and we have any half-moons roads other than Calvert, I believe. I'm not sure if it still is a stretch away, but on this end, we have no half-moon roads. We put the signs up, like for the spring, and we take them down at certain dates. I don't believe we have any on this, on the county roads.
I have a good point.
Makes it better.
Okay, council, the report's been made. Any last call for questions? Will someone move the recommendation provided? Yeah, Councillor Myers, second for that, please. Councillor Choi. All in favor? Motion. All opposed? Okay, carried. Okay, we're talking about the salt bill now. Some shortcomings in it. 8.4.4, structural concerns in salt bill. Morrow or Amanda, can you walk us through this?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to council, this report addresses a structural concern regarding the sand salt dome at the Southwest Middlesex Glencoe Operations Center. Concerns were raised to the Health and Safety Committee about the structural integrity of a wall and beam in the dome. Staff had a structural engineer and asked them to conduct an inspection and provide notes in the report. The engineer identified deficiencies posing a safety risk that require immediate action. An estimate for the repairs and engineering has been provided, and staff recommend allocating necessary funds in the 2025 capital budget. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, council, the invitation's been extended. Are there any? Feeling none, will someone make a motion, please, to accept that we proceed with this? Councillor Myers, second for this. Councillor Haggett. Last call for questions. All in favor? Oh, yes, go ahead, Deputy.
Will we have to restate one?
That was not in the report, so I don't see a need for that right now. Yeah, this is just mainly the structural wall and the.
It was fairly,
I had to take it off from the side, but you know, okay.
Yeah, no, it's the side wall, and there'll probably be some plywood sheeting that we need to replace, some frame work, concrete work, anchor bolts.
Concrete work as well.
Yeah, the concrete, the wing wall is deteriorating.
yeah, I think Al Lawton shingled that not too long ago. I can recall that. Yeah. Okay, will someone entertain the motion? Or against? We have a motion for a second. Okay, we're ready to go then. All in favor? Carry. Okay, A4, structures, concerns, I'll look after. Andrew, it looks like we're talking about drains now. 84.5, the can drain. I see section 78 has been requested. Please introduce council to this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The can drain was originally constructed under an engineer's report in 1955. To my knowledge, there's been no maintenance or reconstruction projects that have been carried out on this drain. Late last year, the landowner submitted a reconstruction request. In the past, this landowner has demonstrated a very proactive approach to drainage. And this drain, given that it is fairly old, it is within reason that this request comes in. With regards to the financial implications, there are no immediate impacts from this. And furthermore, there are no municipal lands or roads. It is county road that would be a part of this watershed. So with that said, I recommend that council appoint Street Associates pursuant to section 78 of the Drainage Act for the reconstruction of the McCann drain formerly within Mosa Township.
Thank you, Andrew. Council, any questions to Andrew through the chair? Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultz.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. Does this run from concession to the railroad tracks?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it does. It makes a somewhat of a hook shape, and it outlets into an open drain just south of the tracks.
Well, it's very wet field, it was really wet this year.
Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, request for section 78. Recommendations for you. Will you accept the staff's recommendation on this? Councillor Mink, seconded by Councillor Choi. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the can drains behind us. We'll deal Andrew 8.4.6, the Floyd Winship Wall branch drain, petition for a new drain.
Thank you again. The origins of this drain are fairly poorly documented because it appears to have been some form of agreement between possibly the road authority many years ago and other landowners. And it pertains to the same property but a different area. I believe if you look at the map, the general placement of the drain is in the area of the red line that I've indicated. And the owner has submitted a petition under section 4 of the Drainage Act. And at this point, I would like to go to the recommendation that council appoints Street Associates under section 4 of the Drainage Act for concession 2, lot 12, formerly Mosa Township, to construct a new municipal drain. I'm open for questions.
Thank you. Council, questions? Councillor Mink.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. To Andrew, wasn't this drain already talked about in December? I'm trying to figure out why it's being here twice.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, that stage is to accept the report, to accept the petition. At this point is to appoint the engineer. It's only broken up into 2.
Okay.
Any further questions? Deputy Mayor Schultz.
I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, second for that. Councillor Myers. Last call for questions. All in favor? Carried. And we have the James Lethbridge drain, another section 78. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The James Lethbridge drain was initially constructed under an engineer's report in 1954. There was a subsequent report for enclosure of the open, or a part of the open portion in 78. Since the initial construction, there has been maintenance projects that I have seen myself while I've been here. And it is in poor shape right now. In December, mid to late December, staff were approached by the property owner and tenant regarding the significant concerns with the drains, including the presence of large sinkholes and overall poor performance. For the time being, there's been some works done to at least keep the drain flowing. However, the owners have submitted a formal request under 78 of the Drainage Act to replace all or part. Financial implications, right now there are none. However, the municipality would more than likely have an assessment towards Tate's Road in Hyman. And that would be looked after under the assessment schedule. At this point, I would recommend that council accepts the request under section 78 of the Drainage Act for concession R2 South Lot 20 to initiate the reconstruction of the James Lethbridge drain, formerly Eckford Township. I'm open for questions.
Okay, any from council? Seeing none, was there a mover and a seconder? Councillor McGill, seconder. Councillor Hackett. All in favor? Motion is carried. Section 78 is done. Thank you very much, Andrew. It's nice to see you. We're on to community service and facilities. Amanda's going to give us a report 8.5.1 regarding waiving the fees of the YMCA for the summer day camp for 2025. Amanda, could you speak to this?
Yes, through you, Mayor. The report before you is requesting to waive fees for the summer day camp rentals of the arena with the YMCA based on their earlier presentation. The partnership with the YMCA offers a number of advantages to the municipality. In part, it's not a municipally delivered service, and the quality of service that the YMCA delivers with all of their checks and balances and experience, arguably, would be enhanced from a municipal day camp operation. As we know, so essentially they would like to use the arena and on a one-year trial basis only to set off their day camp on a successful route. Staff are proposing waiving rental fees for the year. And again, that would be revisited in the future should the program be successful and obtain the required enrollment. We heard today the YMCA is not a money-making enterprise. They are a nonprofit, and they do deliver this service in many communities. In terms of other rentals at the arena during the time frame, I would like to note that typically we don't have any, almost none at the arena over the summer period, very few. But the ones that we do have, so if you look, for example, the Lions Club were to still meet in the upstairs of the arena or the New Horizons downstairs rooms, called something else now, they would still be able to be accommodated. So we would work with the YMCA and with any other potential renters to make sure that they were not impeding on other rentals and they could revise their programming accordingly within the facility. One other thing is staff did run the numbers of potentially running our own day camp versus the revenue lost from waiving the fees. We certainly cannot even employ 2 summer students for the summer for the cost that we would be foregoing in revenue from waive fees. So let alone They're talking about employing 6 to 7 people plus aides plus all the programs. There's no way we can offer a comparable service for the wage fee. So happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Councillor Mink, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. We also have at least one church vacation camp, one church that holds vacation camp. So if they were to protest with the same idea, would they be allowed a waiver as well?
Referring to the Glencoe Presbyterian Church, right?
I believe that's the one that
Yeah, I think you always.
I just think, we should be fair to everyone.
I thought they had some childcare facility in the summertime. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda, and followed by McGill.
Oh, sorry. I'm not familiar with that program, but certainly no other programs have approached the municipality for funding, nor have they asked to hold programming in municipal facilities for that even to be considered. If that would have happened, we would have certainly come to council with something. I do know that there is a private business that offers day camp for a number of local people, including their employees' children, in partnership with the Glencoe Agricultural Society. However, I'm not familiar with their arrangements for rentals, as that's not our facility. But again, if we received a request, that would be something that we need to come before council. At this time, this is the only request the municipality has, and I think a positive opportunity for us to offer a service at a much lower cost than self-delivery.
Thank you. Councilor McGill, please.
Yeah, I think it's Bethel Southwest that has the program at the Ag Hall in the summer. And there is a vacation Bible school in Glencoe that only runs for 1 week.
It does, and I think the dismissal time is noon hour as well, which is problematic for industry.
Yeah, so, but it's at the churches, it's only for 1 week. And so I don't think approving this is gonna hurt the other vacation Bible school in Glencoe at all. And it'd be really nice to see that facility of ours used in the summer because, and probably wouldn't be able to be used in the summer very well, only when all the renovations were done and new air conditioning and dehumidification system was put in there. So it was always before, with the floor sweating in the summer. Now it should be really nice in there in the summer.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor Choi.
Thank you for you, Amanda. So are they requesting the full use of the arena or specific rooms or what areas will they be using?
Thank you, Councillor, through you, Mayor. In their conversations with our recreation coordinator and manager of community services, they have talked about a number of models. I think they're looking to use the full facility. Again, depends on registration numbers. The vision that that's been shared with me has been that the ice surface utilized for some indoor sports on days where it's raining and outdoor play is not permitted. And then they would use potentially some of the dressing rooms set up as craft stations and for different activities. However, the partnership with the municipality and the YMCA will work with regular check-ins and depend on rental requirements. So if there is a day where, let's say our staff need to set something up on the ice surface, for example, or a weekend event, they would be happy to accommodate and change the programming to allow for that. We'll just have to be in constant communication. But we would permit them to access the full facility pending any other conflicts.
And does that include vacation?
I was gonna ask about the auditorium, so how do you guys go vacation?
I am not, I guess in the full facility, I would say yes. But I haven't been advised of any specific kitchen needs.
Yes, go ahead, Amy, please.
Thank you. I think this is wonderful. It's definitely a need in the community, and it's a great use of all our facilities. Pool, splash pad, the soccer fields, all the arena, kitchen, And that's why we maintain and keep everything up to the standards that we do. I think this is a great opportunity for our residents to go to work with peace of mind that the children are taken care of. And I would like to move this.
Thank you, Councillor Choi. Is there a second for that? Councillor Myers, any more discussion? Yes, Councillor Deputy Mayor.
I know this was touched on during the delegation, but there's just some overlap with the splash pad and pool. There's no reason why they can't use it, and the public can use it at the same time.
Sure. So I don't say be exclusive. We can take a stage too, and that's you know, lifeguards are there. They have put some eyeballs on it. They could, you know, or even one of our employees. But I'm not sure what the limit is on that splash pad, but there will be probably a limit of numbers on that, so they would have to be in a queue, so to speak. Councillor Choi?
Thank you. I can elaborate on that since I was at the pool and the splash pad when other camps were running. If it's a large group of swimmers, what I saw, some of them would go into the pool with their camp counselors going in as well, but other parts are there, and they kind of take turns, and same thing with the splash pad. They're not all in there all at once. They kind of take their turn with the playground and everything.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded, and we'll continue questioning for a brief period.
When I listened to the presentation, I didn't hear anything about use of the swimming pool.
No,
Just mentioned
well, I think in
splash pad.
terms of the age of being 12, I think it could be given that they would want to use it. The 10, 12-year-olds, I think, would want the swimming pool. It's up to 12 years of age, yes. Any further comment?
Thank you, through you. The YMCA would intend to access the pool as the schedule permits. So we would still run our other programs, and then they would access it during unprogrammed time. On some days, it may or may not be every day and maybe not every week, but they again would work with our recreation team to make sure they didn't impede other activities, but that they would have access to it.
Yes.
So should we charge them something for the use of the pool, because that's an expensive facility and we have to pay the lifeguards?
I think the cost would be the same as any other person using the pool. There would be, if there's a fee to go for an afternoon swim,
That's what I wonder.
I would expect the fee would be part of their cost. I'm not sure if they had any information on that. Those are, once we accept them, the presentation indicated that discussions like this would be with staff following the acceptance of an endorsement that we go with this YMCA. So we may not have all those answers, Councilor McGill, but we'll make sure we do. May I have any further comment?
The comment would be, yes, I do, thank you. The fees are recommended to be waived for all assets, all rental as well as swimming. But again, on that 1-year pilot basis to attract people to attend, to start the camp. And in the future, for the second year, hoping we have, so many people that want to register, it grows. And we would be able to have that discussion with the YMCA in year 2 about fees and not necessarily waiving them all.
Okay, that's good. I have that clarified. I think the price of the charge, he did, it was mentioned the cost recovery type system. And so if we waive a fee, the market is benefiting from that in terms of the more competitive childcare skills, because every cost that they address will have to be part of the registration fee. So that's one way of looking at it too. It keeps the cost of childcare down. Okay, it's been moved. It's seconded, I believe. Is that correct, Kendra? Okay. I think we've done enough questions. I'll call it. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Okay, 8.6 fire, there's none. 8.7 building, there's none. 8.8 planning. We have a zoning bylaw amendment application P12 2022 submitted by Minimum Farms. Longwoods Road. Recommendation is that this report be received for information only at this time, and that council give a third and final reading to bylaw 2020-104 as amended. The planning want to speak to this at all?
Thank you, Mayor, through you.
Go ahead.
More technical difficulties. Okay, so the subject zoning bylaw amendment application was approved in principle by municipal council and was given 2 readings on December 16th, 2020 to be brought forward for a 3rd reading once a deposited reference plan was provided. And since the time that P12 2020 was approved in principle, the lot area of the severed lands, so the lands to be rezoned from the general agricultural A1 zone to the rural residential RR zone, and the lot to be retained, which would be rezoned from the general agricultural A1 zone to the agricultural A2 zone, have been revised, and a deposited reference plan was provided to staff, and therefore this 3rd reading has been brought forward for council's consideration. And the lands are subject to consent application B7-2023, which sought to sever a parcel of land subject surplus to a farming operation as a result of farm consolidation, and was conditionally approved by municipal council on October 25th, 2023. And a more detailed background report of the previous applications related to P12 2020 can be found within the report for B7-2023, which was attached to the staff report. So in addition to the policies outlined in the original report, due to the changes that were made to the bylaw since the time it was approved in principle, staff would like to note that section 3417 of the Planning Act states that where a change is made in a proposed bylaw after the holding of a public meeting, councils shall determine whether any further notice is to be given in respect to the proposed bylaw. And staff is of the opinion that no further notice should be required as a result of the revised lot sizes for the lands to be rezoned, given that the changes to the size of the lands to be retained and the lands to be severed do not significantly alter what was originally approved in principle in December 2020. So staff maintain the opinion that application P12 2020, including the revisions as a result of consent application B7-2023, continue to be consistent with the provincial planning statement and is in conformity with both the county and Southwest Middlesex official plans. And a bylaw has been drafted for council's consideration. So staff recommend that this report be received for information and that council give a 3rd and final reading to bylaw 2020-104 as amended. Thank you.
Thank you, any further discussion or any questions? Yes, Councilor Green.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to make sure that I got a phone call from Reed. Just want to make sure that what we're voting on is that we are voting on the 2.5 acres.
Through your Mayor to Councillor Fink. So yes, so the lot area to be severed was the 2.5 acres that was approved through B7-2023. So this application is just bringing forward the zoning for both the lands to be retained and the lands to be severed as a result of B7-2023. Thank you.
And
go ahead, follow up.
yes, thank you, Mayor. Also, talking to Reed, point number 8, it states, everyone can read that, about remaining debris. Now, Reed has got in a machine and crunch all the concrete, so they are crushed concrete pile there. And Reed wants to leave it there for the new owner when he sells the property, so they could fill up the driveway. And if they don't want it, then he will take it away. So I just wondered if that condition number 8 could be amended slightly.
Through you, Mayor Mayhew to Councillor Fink. I'm happy to chat more about this at another time, but just right now, the application being brought forward is the zoning bylaw amendment portion, but certainly happy to speak with Ray more about that. There is an opportunity to amend conditions of consent in general, so I'm happy to speak about that more after. Thank you.
We're dealing with precisely the zoning at this point. Okay, any further questions? miss anybody? All in favor of the recommendation? Please raise your hand. Okay, all right. Don't move it. Second for that. Thank you, Jody. All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll deal with the bylaw at the end of the meeting. Notice of motion, I've been advised of none. Correspondence and petitions, I haven't been advised of none. There is no unfinished business. There is no new business at this time. County council and conference updates, are there any? Will be coming. Announcements from councilor, anything rewards that we should be made aware of? Seeing none, item 15 is closed session pursuant to section 239, bracket 2 of the Municipal Act 2001, that the regular meeting of council of the municipality of Southwest Middlesex be temporarily adjourned at 8:17 p.m. to permit the holding of a meeting in closed session for the purposes of exceptions pursuant to section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001. And C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And to deal with the closed meeting minutes, 5.1, 5.2, the closed item. Is there a mover and a seconder to go into closed? Councilor Haggett, Councilor Choi, all in favor?